Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode 285 of the Thoughtium Navigating Now virtual roundtable series. I'm Anthony Ewing, co-founder, chief brand officer here at Thoughtium, and we want to welcome everybody to this special Thursday edition. It feels like a Friday. It is Thursday afternoon. I know the business world is starting to wind down for the long weekend, but we will not do so without a little bit of leadership perspective. And today, we're really going to be talking about, I think, what a lot of us leaders are focused on, which is understanding, making sense of, and navigating all of the change that's coming at us, particularly understanding the future. And we are going to be bringing on Jim Lee. He is the founder of StratFI. He's a futurist as well, too. And he has explained what a futurist is before on this show. We might have him do it again. But I just figured it would be no better time to bring him back on to help us start to kind of see around corners. And maybe if you're a leader out there, you're tuning in on LinkedIn, this is an opportunity for you to pick up, your 1 or 2% improvement in how you're thinking and acting more strategically. So with that, Jim, we want to welcome you to the virtual roundtable. Welcome back, I should say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is a lot of fun. So good time to do it.
Yeah. So what's been new in your world and what's new at StratFI?
Just so much. We've managed to sort of break the code to figure out how to scale without staffing, in part because we have used a lot of the new shiny tools and toys that have come out over the last few years, which has really changed how we do business and extended our reach. So it's been a lot of fun.
I think that's the first time I've heard that term, scale without staffing.
That's right.
It's so clear and it's so direct, but I could see that as being also a little scary to some.
A little scary, but in some ways it's the holy grail if you're a small business owner.
Yeah, tell me more.
Yeah, so we have changed every part of our tech stack in the last 3 years to automate everything from looking for investments to portfolio rebalancing to reporting and even to a certain degree client communications as well.
Yeah.
And if you look at how our business is structured, we're able to hit above our weight with about half the staff of a conventional investment firm, while offering full white glove service to all of our clients. And
I love that.
It's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had the opportunity to speak to a couple of different circles of entrepreneurs, young professionals, particularly in the last few months. And I'm saying this more now than ever, that there's never a better time to start a business than right now. There's also never a better time to be a solopreneur or a lean shop, because of the access that we have to these tools and tools that we didn't have even just 6 or 8 months ago. New models, new pieces of technology.
I think we're really close to seeing the first 1 person or 0 person unicorn.
Yes.
Just companies with 1 or 2 people hitting billion-dollar valuations, or better yet, companies with no people at all.
Yes. I think if I'm not mistaken, it was maybe a month ago that we kind of crowned our first billion-dollar solopreneur. It was a young female entrepreneur, and it kind of surprised me, but it didn't surprise me at all.
So it already happened.
Yeah,
right?
It already happened.
I thought I was making stuff up, and it happened.
Yeah, it already happened. Yeah. I mean, heck, if SpaceX can carry the valuation that it does, who's to say that a really smart solopreneur can't carry $1 billion valuation?
These are strange times. Yes, they are.
So the topic today is really kind of leading around corners. And, Jim, you as a futurist are somebody that you've been pulled into, your client conversations and different circles of leaders as somebody who is well practiced in understanding and making sense of the future. How is being a futurist different today than it was maybe 5 or 10 years ago, knowing just how quickly things are changing? Like, are your practices different? I'm sure your phone's ringing off the hook. Like, how is it being a futurist in this world?
Yeah, well, 5 years ago, the state of the art was Post-its on a wipe-off board. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very manual, it involved a lot of magic markers at the
Uh-huh.
time.
Uh-huh.
And it's really evolved to use a lot of LLMs and digital assistants in terms of putting together scenarios, putting together forecasts,
Hmm.
looking at different types of narratives. That's really my focus. So the degree of automation, even within Foresight, has picked up substantially.
Yeah. I was introduced to you by way of, we have a very unique story that I'm going to spare the audience, but I think it was just the power of the business community that brought us together. But what has kept me connected to you is that you have in today's world, what would be deemed as a very effective, but yet very old school, dare I say, like next to writing on like stone tablets,
I
a
know.
newsletter.
A newsletter. Oh my gosh. Yes. A
And
blog. A
yeah,
blog.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And your newsletter, prior to AI, was a real linchpin for me. It still is, and I'll explain that in a second. But it was a real source of curated information about the markets, because that's essentially, as a financial advisor, I mean, that's the world that you play in every day.
Mhm.
And we would look to the experts in the space, yourself included, and we would wait every month to read your newsletter. And I'm curious, like, have your clients' expectations in terms of being informed changed due to the fact that they now have access to the world's information in a single prompt?
Yeah. I think the expectations have ratcheted up quite a bit. And one of the transformations that we have had here is a dedication to full transparency.
Mm.
And we're very
Ooh.
unusual in that we will communicate just about every portfolio change in every of our models to each of the clients involved in those strategies, right?
Mhm.
So we'll tell you why we got into something, why we got out of something, whether we made or lost money. Sometimes we'll talk about the allocations or the position size. And I think it's important so that one, clients know what's going on, that they need
Yeah.
to know. Two, I think it's helpful for clients to know the stories behind what they own so that they can have pride of ownership.
Ooh.
That's very different than what you would find for like an index fund investor.
Mm.
So that's one of the things that we offer to clients. Yeah.
That's so interesting. That also maybe seems like it's a bit of a differentiator for you, is that folks will not see your services as the result of your services as a well curated portfolio. They will see it as a collection of what's actually going on in
Mhm.
in the world,
Right.
and
Or
and
yeah, what
and
we think
moves
is
that you've
going on.
made.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Mhm.
so interesting. So it's almost like transparency has become a bit of a key ingredient for you, as again, information has become more and more readily available. It's interesting, Jim. Um, as knowledge workers ourselves, we have always prided ourselves on, in many cases, really taking the time to cultivate perspective, build perspective, and then put that perspective out there for our clients, whether it's on how to build great leaders within your organization, how to move through change, et cetera. And I think we're starting to experience and maybe work through a little bit of this friction of, like, we still have the desire to be artists in that space, but
It's true.
but um, competing knowledge is so sloppily available everywhere else
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
there's this
Good
friction
analogy.
between what is really well curated and thought through, and somebody just saying, you know what, I'm not waiting for the newsletter. I'm just going to ask Claude. Um, and I'm wondering if that's something that you're working
That
through as well.
is, yeah, that's the next step actually,
Yeah.
because I have two books out right now. And I was thinking about, what would the third book look like? And I'm not even sure if it's going to look like a book, to be honest, because like the lag time in publishing,
Yeah.
and whether
Yes.
you're self-published, you're lucky if you can get something out in a year.
Hmm.
If you go with the mainstream publisher, it's going to take 3.
Yep.
And by the time it comes out, it's not going to be as fresh as the day that you wrote it.
Yeah.
So one of the projects that I did last spring is I put together not a book, but what I refer to as a spell book. It's a book of prompts that I use to get the
I love it.
latest information on the world
Yeah.
when I need it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. I
And
love that.
it was a 200-page book that we wrote in a week about looking at macro trends, stock analysis, scenario planning, what happens next, all of that. And that's a core part of our research process at this point. Yeah.
And when you say prompts, do you mean like technical, like AI prompts, or more just like prompts that you would ask yourself?
Well, they're both, but mostly AI prompts.
Yeah.
Right. So really the art isn't getting the right answer. It's asking the right
It's asking the right questions. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. I mean, you've just got, I mean, my brain just went nuts on like, is that a new form of a book or even media? It's like are you going to read books by way of how to more effectively engineer the answers from LLMs,
or
like
do
book of
prompts become trade secrets?
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, if I publish this, do I lose my edge?
Yeah. Well, this is a discussion we're having, constantly here at Thoughtium, and we say this, we're saying this more today than we ever have before. Our mission at Thoughtium is to design and deliver human-centered learning experiences. At the same time, I mean, we're meeting every day almost on how to make sure that we understand and optimize and capitalize on new AI technology tools. What's kind of floated to the top or surface to the top of that intersection, right, of us holding true to our roots, that we are human-centered, and it's much better to be working with your peers in developing your leadership skills than it is working with an LLM.
Yeah.
What's surfacing?
It's more real, it's more tangible.
Yeah.
What's engaging? All of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what's surfacing from that, I think, is we are acknowledging that authenticity then becomes a real differentiator. So, for example, Jim, I still religiously read your newsletter. It maybe even more religiously today than I did a couple years ago, pre ChatGPT and Claude. And the reason is because it was for human by a human. And I see that as almost a supplement, if not like a wrapper to just the sheer amount of answers I can get on a day-to-day basis. There's something valuable in highly curated, highly authentic, human-centered content and experiences. Yes,
absolutely. And also filtering things in a way that I basically write to amuse myself and to think.
Yeah.
Okay. And I figure that if I'm writing something that's not interesting to myself, nobody else is going to find it interesting.
Yep.
As well. Right. So that's something that has helped in both my writing and my speaking.
So this is a more tactical question that I'm maybe more personally interested in. As a writer and a speaker, I get the sense, because I read your newsletters, I get the sense that you're not starting from AI output and working your way back to the voice of Jim Lee. Like, how do you, what in your writing process and your speaking process, how are there guardrails that you have? What role does AI play in content creation for you?
Yeah, I mean, AI is great for data gathering. In terms of environment scanning, looking at weak signals, gathering the data. It's a great research assistant. But you have to read on it. You have to process on it. You have to give it to your subconscious to really put some order to it and prioritize things. The writing starts with me, right?
Yeah.
But I do find that AI is pretty good on the editing side of things.
Yeah.
For my first book, I had 1,000 copy edit errors, of which 900 were punctuation. Okay. And AI is great at fixing that stuff.
Yeah.
But for the last few newsletters, I wrote my own version and then I had AI write the
Yep.
version.
Yep.
And then I gave it to a coworker and let him choose. And
Yes.
he pretty much always picked the one that I wrote.
Yeah.
So,
You're following a framework that we're using here at Thought Team. We're introducing to a lot of our clients. It's actually really simple. It's human, machine, human. So if we're developing a workshop or we're putting together a perspective, like it will always start with what we call the blank page. A few of us humans in a room will develop the original design or the perspective. We will then use AI to augment, and then it always is bookended with smoothing over to make sure that the end product has a human touch. So.
absolutely. Yeah, I call that adult supervision of AI. Right? Because that's really what people do.
Yeah.
People pay for people.
I love it.
And you just want to be sure that all goes well in the sandbox.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. I told you this before. We're going to completely, maybe not, but we're going to completely switch gears because I have a personal interest in what's going on in the markets today. And I think a lot of our clients and community out there are probably, looking at their 401ks and their investment portfolios with maybe a different sense of acuity today than they had before. So I almost want to do like a lightning round with you, focused on what's going on in the markets.
Cool. Sure. Why not?
But before I'll work that into actually a lightning round question. First question, how should we, as investors, what's the number one piece of advice you're giving investors today that you wouldn't have given 12 or 18 months ago?
Oh, 12 to 18 months ago. That's a very shortened time frame, which makes that kind of an interesting question. Just kind of thinking about that. I can tell you what I'm doing differently now than I was doing 12 to 18 months ago. And that is that I'm paying a lot more attention to the narrative. And I'm looking at stories just as much as I'm looking at numbers and I'm looking at charts.
Yes.
Okay. So that's something that's brand new here. And so far, we're getting some really interesting preliminary outcomes from that.
Oh, as a self-proclaimed like newbie investor myself, and not newbie, but like as somebody who has more recently really gotten interested in the markets, I have been learning more of the technicals. But what I'm really seeing in my own experience in trading and being in the market is that today the narrative in many cases will trump the technicals.
It does.
Right? I mean, how many incredible companies out there are just blowing earnings out of the water quarter after quarter, and their stock is tanking?
I know.
Like that's not the way I shouldn't be learning it. I shouldn't be learning that.
It's a bad influence, Bad. Yeah. The headline risk is higher than it ever was.
Yes.
Twitter feeds and what makes different Reddit forums and so forth.
Yeah.
And I think it starts to matter more, particularly because a lot of quant traders are responding to those headlines. And you can, to a certain degree, anticipate those headlines through the use of some long-term trends. And I've been training different LLMs to look at what I refer to as narrative strength, which is to look at the story and see if the story has got legs or not, see if it's going to go somewhere.
I love that. Okay. Next question in our so-called lightning round. If the AI revolution were a 9-inning baseball game, what inning are we in?
Yeah, I would say probably the 4th. But I think we're also going to change games from baseball to something else. Okay.
You need to tell Dan Ives that, who's a big thought leader, and he always uses his baseball analogy. And I love this. It's like we may not even be playing baseball.
We might not. Yeah. We could be doing something else.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Um, do you think the Mag 7, who, have over the last, 6 to 8 months been really beaten down,
Mhm.
uh, do you think they have a bit of a comeback before the end of the year?
Yeah, so that's interesting because everybody, including myself, kind of got tired of
Yeah,
talking about the Mag 7 for
yeah,
the last 2 or 3 years.
yeah.
And if you look at the impact of the Mag 7 on the S&P 500, if you take out the Mag 7, pretty much all of the money was made by the other 493 companies in the S&P
Hmm.
500.
Hmm.
And these companies went from being cash cows to cash spenders.
Yep.
And what's going to happen is in the not too distant future, the next 6 to 12 months, those expenses start to get depreciated and start to become a drag on their earnings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And that's going to be interesting to watch because the valuations are good. They're still growing. They're investing heavily. I'm more interested not in the Mag 7, but in the companies that they are making purchases for
Yeah. The picks and shovels. Hmm.
to scale out their,
Hmm.
to scale out their AI.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the correlation between the Mag 7 performance and the picks and shovels is just so it's so frantic, right? Like,
Mhm.
I think it was I think you had mentioned in maybe one of your newsletters, the neoclouds, right, being like a new a great example of the picks and shovels of the Mag 7. These are the companies that are standing up, data centers and renting compute, and the Mag 7, like, Meta and Facebook and Google, are all purchasing compute from these companies. Um, it's interesting. Uh, I think that if you are the CEO of one of these now big AI spenders,
Mhm.
your ability to tell the story of how you're spending this money really matters.
Oh, it
And
does. It
you start tuning into some of these earning
right.
calls, and
Mhm.
you start to see how poorly
Some of
A
them.
Mark Zuckerberg is able to speak to how he's spending
Mhm.
$100 billion on capex, and you're not surprised to see their stock price not do well. And so the storytelling is so important.
Wow. And it's important, I think, in part because we use stories as a heuristic.
Yes,
In other words, the world is complicated and
yes,
we need stories to make sense of it.
yeah, yeah. I couldn't agree more. And I personally have really gotten into tuning into some of these earning calls, and I think you learn a lot about business.
Mhm.
You learn a lot about the way markets react to how organizations are running their business.
Mhm.
Um, and I do think, like, understanding and knowing the story is really important. A perfect example, and again, the correlation between the spenders and the picks and shovels. CoreWeave and Nebius both, I think, over the last 8 to 12 weeks have done really, really well,
Mhm.
really well.
Mhm. Yeah, well,
It was yesterday
it's
that
been ups and
that
downs, but yeah,
yeah,
recently.
yeah, that Meta flinched and said, "Hey, we might actually rent our own compute." And these two companies lost, it was tens of billions of dollars in market cap.
And
And
Meta had
so,
a very strong day yesterday. Yeah.
yeah, totally. So maybe my last question, for those of us who are interested in investing, or maybe paying a little bit more attention to our retirement accounts, et cetera, it seems as though, like, the stories and the news cycles around performance of these companies and stock price, it's just faster and more rapid than ever. And maybe that's
Mhm.
due to algorithmic trading, or just the fact that news cycles are so short, or like Trump could send a single tweet and drastically change the tune of the marketplace. Are you encouraging people to pay more attention, and be a little bit more involved, or are you actually encouraging people to, like, take a step back and not be so reactive on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you definitely want to take a step back and not be reactive, but you also want to keep in mind the really big global macro trends that are
Yeah,
going to be around for the next 10 years
yeah.
and essentially put yourself in the way of success,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So, and AI is a part of that. Robotics is going to be a part of that. It's still
Mm.
really super early on that one. Right now, the big story has been power generation and supply.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
so that's where I've had my chips.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's great. It really is fascinating. And Jim, we just so appreciate your versatility in these conversations. I think a lot of people, if they realize you're far more than just a financial guru. And I think that really matters when it comes to, wanting to engage with you and do business with you, right? You bring a lot more than just the technicalities of the markets, including the future. And that's really cool. How can people find you? And you have 2 books. So like, do people just get them on Amazon?
Yeah, they're on Amazon. The most
Okay.
recent one is called Foresight Investing, and that is on Amazon, both hardback and also the Kindle version as well.
Okay.
We don't have an Audible version because charts don't do well in Audible, so, so we don't go there.
Yeah.
And then also my website, which we completely redesigned earlier this year. It's www.stratfi.com, where
Cool.
we'll have our blogs, our newsletters, performance reports, fact sheets, all of that. So that's completely been redesigned.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And congratulations for a thriving business, um, and for you, continuing to guide it based on, what's happening in the world today. I know that as a business owner, that is a tall order to
A
have to
lot.
kind of
It's
navigate
all
the
you
growth
can
of a
eat
business.
sometimes, you know? So, yeah, drinking from a fire hose. But yeah, and I
Absolutely.
particularly enjoy our relationship over the
Yeah.
years. We've been talking together for at least 5 or
5
6,
years. Yeah.
5
Hmm.
years. Yeah, yeah,
Almost 6.
very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So appreciate you. Thank you for joining. And I'm sure this won't be the last time.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. All right. We want to thank Jim Lee from StratFI for joining today's conversation. Also want to, thank you all for, if you're still here, for, hanging with us as we kind of veered off the leadership development path and talked a little bit of the markets. It's just amazing how connected all of these things are, and we're having more and more conversations with our clients about being able to see around corners, and also just, pause and take a step back and kind of stand at the doorstep of your role, your organization, and look up and out and understand what's going on in the world. You would be so surprised that even some of these massive global megatrends that you would never think would impact, your local bakery or your client services business. They do. They absolutely do. And AI is an example of one that just permeates everything. So we need futurists, and we also need people who are just curious about the future. So with that, stay curious. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday at 3 p.m. Central. Thank you.